And I know the future. Do you know why I know the future? Because the future already happened. The future is already here. We are in a subterranean, suppressed, sloth-like, slow-motion future that is dripped out like poison honey from a honey hive, and the globalists are up in their technocratic beehive, and we're down here like addled, poisoned ants stumbling around. And one cannot be told about the Matrix, one must see it. I think a simple way to put this is we are not in a Matrix, but the technocrats, the globalists, are trying to build one. They're trying to build a completely artificial habitat for the general public. They're trying to limit the information you come in contact with. They're trying to make you very, very shallow. They're trying to reduce the language and the number of words people use. The system admits in so many white papers it'll make your head spin that they want to basically abolish the family. And they've done an incredible job of that. And then you read all these globalist white papers, like the Wired magazine article I've talked about for 14 years, Why the Future Doesn't Need Us, Bill Joy, co-owner, Sun Microsystems. And he says in the article, you know, I went to this conference with 200 tech company owners, some of the richest guys in the world, and, you know, the debate was, do we kill everybody because they're not needed anymore, because labor isn't just cheap, it's actually a negative because of robotics and the future.
ITER is the Latin word meaning the way. It is a unique international collaboration that brings together China, the European Union, India, Japan, Korea, Russia, and the United States. Together, the ITER members represent more than half the world population. ITER will demonstrate that fusion energy is scientifically and technologically feasible. Fusion, when available, will provide mankind with a clean, safe, and unlimited source of energy.
And as you're thinking about this, we're continuing to mutate. So about 10,000 years ago, by the Black Sea, we had one mutation in one gene which led to blue eyes. And this is continuing and continuing and continuing. And as it continues, one of the things that's going to happen this year is we're going to discover the first 10,000 human genomes because it's gotten cheap enough to do the gene sequencing. And when we find these, we may find differences. And by the way, this is not a debate that we're ready for because we have really misused the science in this. In the 1920s, we thought there were major differences between people. That was partly based on Francis Galton's work. He was Darwin's cousin. But the US, the Carnegie Institute, Stanford, the American Neurological Association took this really far. That got exported and was really misused. In fact, it led to some absolutely horrendous treatment of human beings. So since the 1940s, we've been saying there are no differences. We are all identical. We're going to know at year end if that is true. And as we think about that, we're actually beginning to find things like, do you have an ACE gene? Why would that matter? Because nobody's ever climbed an 8,000 meter peak without oxygen that doesn't have an ACE gene. And if you want to get more specific, how about a 577R genotype? Well, it turns out that every male Olympic power athlete ever tested carries at least one of these variants. If that is true, it leads to some very complicated questions.
I know this is all very confusing to you, so I'll attempt to explain. You are on the starship USS Enterprise.
American.
No, it's a vessel in the United Federation of Planets, and Earth is a member.
Talk. Give me a martini straight up with 2 olives. For the vitamins. I might just get to like this place. Let's see if the Braves are on. How do you cut on this TV?
TV.
Yeah, the boob tube.
I believe he means television, sir. That particular form of entertainment did not last much beyond the year 2040.
Well, what do you guys do? I mean, you don't drink and you ain't got no TV. Must be kind of boring, ain't it?
It's obvious they're getting closer and closer to the edge where they can cure anything. Meanwhile, the world is moving closer and closer to the edge where they can kill us all. It's very interesting. Science is going in one direction and the politics is going in the other. I'm still an optimist.
आपले जीवन प्रेरणा आहे आमच्या संशोधन केंद्राची, जे देई आपल्याला उत्तम श्रेणीची बियाणे. डीकॅल्ब, नवा वाण, नवा विचार.
That's what all this is about. A lot has changed in the past 300 years. People are no longer obsessed with the accumulation of things. We have eliminated hunger, want, the need for possessions. We've grown out of our infancy.
Book, how they're poisoning your water supply, how they'll take all children at birth and raise them in government dormitories and do medical experiments on them, and how they'll bring in total tyranny and put implants in your body to control every facet. You know what's funny? Even though this book's free online at major university websites, you little bastards out there are going to go watch your TV and your movies, and you're going to sit there and laugh at me right now and not check any of it out.
So having figured these weird things out, having thought about this and having been through this experience, which is exactly the experience I was promised by Wilson, McKenna, Philip K. Dick, everyone, they promised us this thing, and it was. You can get the experiences, do what they told you to do, and it will happen. I promise you will meet aliens, they will talk to you. The Golden Dawn called this the conversation of the Holy Guardian, knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angels, sorry. So it's been around for a while, it's accessible to everyone, magic is accessible to everyone, the means of altering reality is accessible to everyone. And when everyone starts doing it, we're going to get to see desire manifest on a gigantic scale. Everyone's desire. What happens when everyone's desire becomes manifest? Does the universe have to split up into a billion to accommodate it? Do we all have to suddenly understand that we're all in the same place and we can all share each other's desires? I don't know.
The main problem with space travel is cost. To put you in orbit around the planet Earth costs about $10,000 a pound. Once you're outside the first 100 miles, you coast. You coast all the way out to Pluto. So if the first 100 miles is the only problem, why not have a space elevator where you simply hit the up button and you ascend up a cable into outer space? For a century, we thought that this idea of the space elevator was ridiculous. Now we have a new game changer, carbon nanotubes and graphene. Graphene is one layer of carbon. It conducts electricity. It is the strongest substance known to science. And it will suspend a space elevator without breaking. Now, to be fair, the world's record for pure carbon nanotubes and graphene is only about that long. So we have a long ways to go. But it's a practical problem now. Theoretically, the main challenges have actually been negotiated. Why not dangle the cable down from the International Space Station and then anchor it perhaps to a barge in the ocean, which is a little bit flexible, giving it a certain amount of flexibility so it's not so rigid. It can open up the universe for the average person.
It's putting democracy at risk. It's putting security at risk. But if you don't know what the safety of a seed is, or if you don't know what the actual performance of a seed is, and it is all based on lies, then we will be having no food, we will be having no seed supply, and we will be told to believe in a miracle that's happening in Monsanto's labs.
Here's what I propose. You can't stay on the Enterprise, but I have arranged for us to rendezvous with the USS Charleston bound for Earth. They will deliver you there.
Then what will happen to us? There's no trace of my money. My office is gone. What will I do? How will I live?
This is the 24th century. Material needs no longer exist.
Then what's the challenge?
The challenge, Mr. Offenhouse, is to improve yourself, to enrich yourself. Enjoy it.
The planet is not in danger, we are. The planet will survive. The planet's been through like ammonia atmospheres and impossible to live on and everything dead, and it gets its way back out of that. We're in danger. Or so we think, because our hubris tells us that we are in danger. Our hubris tells us that we're about to destroy the world, we're going to wreck the planet, we'll fuck the atmosphere. No, we'll fuck our atmosphere. You know, some trilobites will come up and they'll be able to live in anything we create. So that is not the problem. The problem is, we're standing here at the 21st century stuck with individuality because we believed in it so much. It seems so important that we should all be distinct. What happens if we stop being distinct? And what happens if we think about individuality as something that was actually just scaffolding for where we are now? So if you create a skyscraper, you put up your scaffolding, you build the building, and what's happened here is that we've overlooked the building and focused on the scaffolding. You know, why haven't we taken the scaffolding down? Let's do it today. Take the scaffolding down. Because the individual is a way to get us to this point.
You know, people say, okay, I'm going to run for the hills. I'm going to go build a cabin. I'm going to buy 10 million cans of baked beans. Well, they're probably going to be the first to die. Number one, it's too late. If you don't know how to live off the land, and if you're not already on the land right now, don't even try to go, because you're going to fail miserably, and you might be shot by the people who got there ahead of you. No, you need to be on a place that's familiar to you, where you have friends and family, where you know the streets, where you know the customs, where you are accepted. Because unfortunately, xenophobia and ethnocentrism get exacerbated and blown out of proportion. Throughout human history, there's been no exception to that. So you're best to be with your own tribe.
I have a lot of hope. I may be the last optimist left on the planet for all I know. But at the same time, I see really terrible problems and injustices and violence all over the place. I just think we're heading for a point at which that will no longer be viable. Somehow we're going to have to find a more decent form of society if we're going to survive at all.
A kind of interstellar ramjet has been proposed, which scoops up the hydrogen atoms which float between the stars, accelerates them into an engine, and spits them out the back. But in deep space, there is one atom for every 10 cubic centimeters of space. For the ramjet to work, it has to have a frontal scoop hundreds of kilometers across. When the ship reaches relativistic velocities, the hydrogen atoms will be moving, with respect to the interstellar spaceship, at close to the speed of light. If precautions aren't taken, the passengers will be fried by these induced cosmic rays. There's a proposed solution. A laser is used to strip electrons off the atoms and make them electrically charged while they're still some distance away. And an extremely strong magnetic field is used to deflect the charged atoms into the scoop and away from the rest of the spacecraft. This is engineering on a scale so far unprecedented on the Earth. We are talking of engines the size of small worlds.